Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Pixelists, the channel about all the nerdy things we love and enjoy. Today, we're doing something a little bit different. Oh, but real quick, as always, we're your hosts. I'm Will, that's Blake. And today we're trying something a little bit different.
Changing it up.
Yeah, I don't know if we've landed on an official title. We don't even need an official title, but tentative title, Pixelbits.
This is Pixelbits.
Yeah.
See, I'm already just getting in with it.
Yeah, just little bits of things. But essentially, what this is, our podcast, if you follow us, which if you're on this video, I'm sure you do, we normally are talking about like specifically an episode of Critical Role or Worlds Beyond Number or a TV show, yada, yada, yada. We were like, instead of, necessitating a whole episode on a subject, what if we just got together once a week or whenever and just kind of talked about the different things we were enjoying, be it gaming, entertainment, or even just like some interesting news roundup for that week.
Yeah.
So this is all completely amorphous. No real plan, but we were like, let's try it out. So this is that.
Little talk show action.
Yeah.
An unstructured, directionless talk show. Directionless sounds like that's maybe the wrong word. But you with me. You get it.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. It's our talk show to scoop up the things that we keep saying we need to talk about.
Yeah.
But we never actually talk about. So having said that, The Witcher Season 2.
Ooh.
No, I'm just kidding.
I still haven't checked out season 3 though. On that note, did you even watch season 2?
Yeah, I watched season 2.
Okay, I thought you did.
Yeah, but we canceled our Netflix, so I probably won't watch season 3.
I'm gonna watch it. I don't know when, because they're busting it into 2 chunks. So like they release the first half and then they're releasing the next half, I think next month. Probably to just milk.
Shows do this, man. This drives me crazy.
I think they're doing it to milk Henry Cavill since it's his last season. So I might wait until it's all out and then watch it.
So how many episodes is this season?
I don't know. I want to say it's like maybe 10. So it's like 5 and 5 in terms of the release, maybe 4 and 4. So I think season 1 and 2 were like 8 to 10 eps.
Yeah. Oh, the remaining episodes will drop in July. Is that right?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I guess maybe it was June, July then. So they must have come out in the end of June, and now the next half will come out, I guess, pretty soon in that case.
And there's only 8 episodes total. So 5 and then the remaining 3.
Okay.
Is this right? Yeah.
I mean, you tell me.
Yeah. 8 episodes that dropped in June, and then the remaining 5 episodes that dropped in June, and the remaining 3 drop 3 days from now.
Oh, okay.
How about that?
Well, I might be checking it out sooner than I thought.
It's so weird how shows, remember the days, and this is not an uncommon thing, but remember tuning in on Sunday nights for Lost or whatever show it was.
Yeah, man.
And then when Netflix became big and they would drop the entire season at once, and how insane that was. It was such a culture shift of you can watch the whole season right now. I remember watching season 1 of House of Cards on Netflix and being I can watch the whole thing. This is crazy. And now it's this weird shows still do the original thing, which is fine. But now there's this weird thing where shows, they release part of it in bulk and then they release the other part later. It's just kind of a weird middle ground for me.
Yeah. I wonder if it's, and I'm sure it's not across the board the same reason anytime it happens, but I wonder, is it for marketing purposes, to draw it out and build the hype, or is it VFX work or whatever isn't done on the second half, so they're let's release this half now? I wonder.
I have to think it's the former, right? I mean, so much today is deeply marketing. I mean, there's so much like around player numbers and engagement and show watchers, like keeping them like involved in a brand. And I have to imagine, you know how like with apps, like mobile games, how they have like monthly active users, MAU. Like I have to assume there's some kind of acronym in the show space for people engaging with your show. I guess it's kind of like they have that in TV already. What's it called? Like there's like it's called something for like people who watch a show every week.
Like the
but it's on
Nielsen?
TV. Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming there's something like that for like streaming platforms.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have to assume it's for that. You know.
Yeah, I would. That would be my guess as well. And Netflix has always been real. They've never like revealed those numbers. They'll always come out and say like when a show breaks the record,
right?
You know, like Squid Game, and I think I think Wednesday became like the new highest ever watched show on Netflix, which I watched the whole show. I enjoyed it, but it's just not. It's not as good as like it. I think she got nominated for a freaking Emmy. No disrespect to whatever her name is, but like the show wasn't that good.
Let's give her some real respect. Hang on. Wednesday. I never saw it. Wednesday
what
actress.
Is her name?
Let's give her some respect here.
No, I like
Ortega.
Okay,
Jenna Ortega. Excuse me. Yeah.
Listen, for all the Jenna Ortega stands come at my throat. I watched the whole show. I enjoyed the whole show. I thought she was great as Wednesday Addams. But does the show deserve to be Emmy nominated? I don't know. You know, that's all I'm saying.
I never saw it. I just know I was at like some kind of like social event this last weekend, and someone like jumped in and was like, I finally watched Wednesday. And I was like, in my head, I thought like, oh, it's interesting that's what she opened with. Like, because it was kind of like a group of people who didn't know each other super well. It's like, I finally watched Wednesday. And I just thought, okay, I wasn't really knocking it. I just thought, I never saw it. So I guess for me, it'd be like, this is probably giving it way too much praise. But if I'd never seen Game of Thrones, and then like it's on season 3 and I'm with some people and I'm like, hey, I finally watched season 1 of Game of Thrones. I think I would expect people to be like, bro, nice. So maybe I think that's maybe kind of where it was going, but I just don't know much about the show if it is worthy of that kind of just slinging it out there.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying.
Line. You're getting to know people for the first time. It's like, what do I say? What do I do? What do I do with my hands? I just don't know if Wednesday's the first thing I mention.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bold strategy, but I guess depending on the makeup of all the people there, maybe it was a good call. I don't know.
We do know like there's a lot of like criticisms around like the award shows in general. I don't know if the Emmys get the same thing, but I know like the Academy Awards, there's a lot of like conversations about it being basically like a joke, like pretty much. I don't even know what I would even say about it beyond that, but I don't know if that's the case for the Emmys too. But I will say when someone's like, "Oh, they got an Emmy," I'm kind of like, meh,
Yeah, I definitely feel like it used to be a lot more prestigious than than it seems to be now. Again, I don't know the inner workings of it, but at least generally it seems to be more of like I don't know, like it's not necessarily going to the truly like best of the best, and it might be more political, not political in terms of like literal politics, but like political in terms of like, okay, this show, needs to get one because it's, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, I mean, like think about Dark Knight getting snubbed because it was like, oh, it's not cinema, it's a comic book adaptation, and similar. I think it's a similar conversation for Marvel movies. Obviously, I don't think Marvel in general is like the standard, but I think like Infinity War Endgame, and then also some of the previous phase movies, Winter Soldier, like I think those are some really good movies. And I think you can objectively say that without like bandwagoning on like, Marvel superheroes, whatever. None of those films have ever won any awards. Robert Downey Jr. is an amazing actor. He's never won any awards through it.
Well, those films have won awards, but never like best
like,
actor, best picture.
Exactly. Right. Thanks for the clarification. Well, and it kind of brings me to wasn't there like a director like Martin Scorsese who was just like said something about like Marvel movies like those aren't like real movies or something.
Yeah.
I'm butchering it. I'm
like, he did.
I'm jumping into a conversation that I was not prepared to have, so I'm just like pulling on like these very faint threads, and then I'm like, oh, there was something about that, and I just have you to be like my my fact checker who's like, it's more like this. So
no, yeah, that's true. I feel like that's a big kind of debate in that realm as well of like, Scorsese and all these other. I think there's a couple other of those like, old time like, really influential directors that have said stuff like that.
I mean, cinema's it's a ambiguous, nebulous thing. I'm trying to segue into Tom Cruise because I know your line about Will texted me and said that Tom Cruise single-handedly saved cinema from COVID.
I did say that, but it's just taken out of context.
Back to this comment. Is it taken out of context?
Because I don't mean it. The way people hear that, they're going to assume what I mean. But all I meant is that I shouldn't have said cinema. I should have said theaters.
Okay.
I was just saying that Top Gun Maverick like saved the movie theater experience because like it was post-pandemic that like wasn't really a thing anymore. And Tom Cruise like kept delaying the movie and fighting for like, no, like I'm not putting this out until it can be like a proper theater release. And so a lot of people credit him for like saving cinema, but I shouldn't say the movie theater experience.
Didn't what's his name? I can't think of his name. And he's like, didn't Christopher Nolan push for the same thing for Tenet?
I don't remember. I feel like that was more maybe like on the brink, like on the more of the start of the pandemic when Tenet came out.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I think yeah. Okay, yeah. They actually Tenet came out in 2021 and Christopher Nolan wanted it to come out in theaters. He wanted it to be a theater experience, which this is like peak Christopher Nolan. We know he puts a lot of attention into like in Oppenheimer. I read that they actually detonated a bomb for like the nuclear bomb shot in the film.
Dang.
And like full on like coated everyone in uranium, whatever. But like that's how serious he is about it. But I remember there was so much drama around the spec during COVID. He actually like left the studio that he had like, or publisher that he had like worked with for years. Cause like they wanted to like stream something. I can't remember the details. Once again, I'm just pulling on threads here, but
yeah,
all I was trying to say was your comment about Tom Cruise. I was like, okay, yeah, I remember this actually being like a main thing for the movie people.
Yeah.
So, but did he save the theaters? I don't know.
I mean, a lot of people credit him for that in the biz. So, I mean, I don't have any more facts than that, but
we'll say Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer just came out, and I heard it's pretty good.
You saw it?
Oh, I said it just came out, and I heard it's pretty good.
Oh, you heard it's good. Sorry. Yeah. I want to see Barbenheimer. I want to see both of them. I've heard they're both good.
A double feature. I feel like you would sell so many tickets for how much like memery there's been about both these things.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people did do double features.
Oh, okay, cool.
But yeah, I don't know if it was ever like an official thing you could do, like
I
like
thought
through
I was
the
smart,
theater.
but other people had already done it, I guess. So I read some comments about Oppenheimer, and people were like, how they were talking about how they were like glued to their seats, and I didn't hear much criticism about the audio. Like peak Nolan is you can't hear like half the words being said. My wife just saw Tenet. I've still never seen it, but she saw Tenet, and she said they turned on the subtitles, and I was like, oh yeah, that's Christopher Nolan right there.
What'd she think of it?
I don't think she really enjoyed it. We didn't talk about it too much because again, I haven't seen it. So she was trying to describe it to me without spoiling anything.
Mm-hmm.
But the person she was watching it with, it was someone's birthday party. And the guy who, it was his birthday, he's the one who wanted to watch it. And you could tell he was a big fan because he had apparently seen it like 8 times or something. And so like he was kind of sharing with them like, oh yeah, like this is like the coolest. Oh, I still haven't figured out this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which I have no context for, but I think she was interested, but then there came a point where she was like, I think I'm done.
Yeah.
Which is not unlike Inception for her, which I think she enjoyed because I enjoyed it so much. But I think otherwise she would have been like, what?
Yeah.
So
yeah, you need to see it. It's I like it. It's a good movie. I love Christopher Nolan, but it's one of those movies where like you got to go to YouTube afterwards and watch like a 45-minute YouTube video about it.
But bro, I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, me too. So I liked it. But yeah, it's definitely for like the casual viewer who's like not gonna do that. I could definitely see like just checking out of it.
What do you think Christopher Nolan like thinks about on like a day? Like, what's his creative process?
I don't know, man, but like Memento was crazy in that way.
Yeah.
You mentioned Inception. Yeah, I mean, I love it though. That's why I'm excited to see Oppenheimer whenever I actually get around to it. But yeah, I don't know.
What's really cool about him is he has like, I think this, like you put these movies on paper of like what they are, and it's just like, what? Like he has such a gifting, I think, for taking like this abstract thought and turning it into like trying to explain Inception to someone who hasn't seen it would be bonkers. But the movie is so like just incredible. You mentioned Memento, which is another great example. Interstellar is one of my all-time favorite movies. I need to watch it again. He's a great storyteller, man.
Yeah.
So
100%. And my favorite movie of his might just be The Prestige.
Oh my gosh, I forgot he did The Prestige.
So
dude,
good.
That movie is so good.
Yeah.
Another one that I feel like my wife didn't appreciate.
She didn't like The Prestige, huh?
Yeah. Let's just knock on her for a second. Well, she was disturbed that the brothers, sorry, spoilers, guys. Well, here's what I'll just say without spoiling anything, actually. That someone was willing to cut off their fingers to keep the ruse going.
Yeah.
She was like, that's sick. Like, and I was like, that's the point. Like, that is like the obsession that it's like the theme of the movie is the obsession for like the next thing or whatever. But anyway.
Great movie though.
Great movie.
Yeah, I really want to see Oppenheimer. I really want to see Barbie because I've heard great things about that as well.
Dude, I think I'm just like too much of a boring person because I see so much like drama around Barbie and like just in general. And I'm just like, am I just a boring person? Like, I just don't follow any of this stuff. I'm just like, okay, cool.
Yeah, the only drama I've seen is from like the ultra like alt-right people that are like this down with men. Yeah. Which I haven't seen the movie, but I'm pretty sure that's like hyperbolic and probably not like doesn't have any real meat to it at all.
Yeah. I got distracted because I was curious who did Oppenheimer's soundtrack. Because wasn't he a big Hans Zimmer guy for a few of his films? Like wasn't Prestige and
probably
and Interstellar all Hans Zimmer?
Probably. I don't like know for sure, but it wouldn't surprise me.
I'll say me and Will don't really know our composers. Why can't I talk today? Our composers, but we know Hans Zimmer because he did the soundtrack for Gladiator, which was like a very peak film in my childhood.
Yes.
So,
bro, Hans Zimmer did like everything. And you know who does a lot of stuff now in both film and television is Ludwig Göransson.
He's the one who did Oppenheimer.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you remember who that is?
No, I only know the name because I just looked up who did Oppenheimer and his name was on there. So it's a funny coincidence.
All right, about to do some deep cuts here. Do you remember? So Donald Glover, Childish Gambino. You remember that one song that was like, I can't remember the name of it, but it was like the acoustic hotel version.
No.
pretty sure this was you that really liked this song as well.
I got this money
I think
song?
so.
Because that's a really awesome song. And it was acoustic.
Yeah, you like, and he was just in the hotel room, like sitting on the bed, and another guy was playing the guitar.
Oh yeah,
that's Ludwig.
Oh, really?
Him and Donald Glover go like way back, and
Ludwig's also the streamer, right?
Not the same Ludwig, but yes.
Oh, okay.
Different Ludwig.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. Okay, that's a crazy coincidence.
Yeah, so like, it's just cool that they kind of like both came up at the same time, and now, they're both like at the top of their respective fields. Basically,
I think whenever I think of a composer, I just envision like an 80-year-old dude.
Yeah.
So it kind of throws me a little bit.
Like one of these dudes.
Yeah. It's amazing though, people's crafts and like being able to like just create. And I mean, I so much really that interesting to say about it, but I just think it's wild. And I think it's also cool when you like discover connections of like, oh, it's that person, like people who love the Jonas Brothers, who are just now finding out about John Bellion.
Yeah.
Which we love John Bellion. And then you sent over the video from John Bellion's cover from Switchfoot's Meant to Live.
Yeah.
Which is just crazy to me. But I love all these like micro connections and like people meeting these people for the first time, I guess.
Yeah. So cool. Yeah. So cool. I was so surprised when that John Bellion Switchfoot collab materialized in front of me. I was like, wait, what? Okay. This is what this show is. We've been talking just for 20 minutes about random stuff. I will say that right before we started, you told me about Daryl Dixon, The Walking Dead.
Yes.
And
bro, we got to talk about this.
Are you like, I haven't watched the trailer yet. I watched like the first 30 seconds of it before we started this, but I think we've talked about The Walking Dead in passing amongst our various episodes. I mean, not that whoever's watching this has heard those segments before, so I guess I'll briefly share my thoughts. I loved it to begin with. Like the pilot episode of The Walking Dead, I think is one of the best pilot episodes I've ever seen. Season 1, fantastic. I don't even remember like where like I kind of started to think it went downhill, but first few seasons fantastic, and then it just felt like it went on way too long. And I didn't keep up with it.
Yeah, when Glenn died is when I stopped watching it, which I'm just gonna throw that spoiler out because it's been like a decade now. That's when I stopped watching it. And I think like casually talking, like anecdotally talking to people, I know that's when a lot of other people quit watching it, but continue though what you were saying.
Oh yeah, but so I was just gonna say, like, I feel like one of the things that it did is just went on way too long. And it's over now, but I know that there's like, and I don't have the facts on this, but I know there's like a Maggie Negan spinoff. There's a Rick Michonne spinoff in the works. And now we have this Daryl Dixon show. So I feel like I thought it already was going on too long, and now they're like launching 100 other shows. In addition to those I just said, there was already Fear the Walking Dead, which was a spinoff. I don't know if that still exists. And I think there was another one too.
I think there was, I think there was a third one. Yeah.
So anyway, I haven't seen the trailer. Daryl was one of like the best characters though. I know you have seen it. So I was just going to say, like, are you ready to get back in, or what do you think?
So there's like a couple of like caveats to this. My gut is yes. The caveats is I've always been a sucker for The Last of Us. It's like top 5 game of all time for me. Beautiful game. We watched the season 1 together. We both really loved it. I think now that's been a few months. I mean, I know me personally, not to like sidetrack, but my ranking would still put it as like a quality show and a beautiful adaptation.
Yeah.
So there's that. I'll come back to why I mentioned that in a second. Second of all, I think as I've gotten old, I don't know why this is the case, but as I've gotten older, like my penchant for like gratuitous violence has like notably decreased.
Yeah.
Like where I feel like it didn't bother me when I was younger, but like watching The Boys, for example, like some of the scenes I'm just like, oh my gosh, like
yeah, me too.
Literally got like obliterated. And I've kind of lost interest in that kind of content. So having said that, I know The Walking Dead is pretty graphic. So I don't know if it'll appeal to me still. And the reason I mentioned The Last of Us is if you watch the Daryl Dixon trailer, it feels very Last of Us-esque. It almost feels like they saw the massive success. Like it almost feels like the showrunners, which if you could even call it that, I don't know who manages the brand now. If it's like a singular person, like I can't think of his name for Marvel, or the
Kevin
guy
Feige?
who, thank you, yes, or the guy who does the two guys who do Star Wars. Can't think of their name either. So I don't know if it's
not important. John Favreau and
yes,
the other guy. Oh,
yeah,
what is it? Yeah,
yes,
I know you're talking
yes.
about.
You hit the people that I was thinking of though. So I don't know if someone's like managing now like the Walking Dead universe or what it is, but it almost feels like they were like, okay, we have Norman Reedus. We want to use him.
Yeah.
What is his next story? And then they were watching The Last of Us on Sunday nights and they were like, could we do this?
Write this down.
It just feels too soon. It feels too close to it because, again, not spoiling anything, but in the trailer, what it seems to be is Norman Reedus, Daryl Dixon, is being asked to transport a child, a young kid, somewhere for the future revival of humanity, to save the world, basically, which is basically the premise of The Last of Us. So the trailer I thought was good. I thought it looked good. I love Daryl Dixon. So I can maybe see myself watching it. But I also just don't know. I don't know. So that was a whole lot for me to say, by the way.
It's like a young boy named Elliot.
Yeah.
And he has to take across the country.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I only saw like the first bit of the trailer before we dove into this, but I saw he was in France. So I was like, how did he get there? Like, are planes working, boats?
Well, in the first like start of I don't know how the show ended, by the way.
Me neither.
But he's like adrift. So who knows how he got across the ocean. But I will say I like the new setting. From like a cinematography standpoint, it looks gorgeous. Yeah. It looks like a good show from like that standpoint. I just don't know. And also, I don't know any other examples of like brands that released so much content side by side that all did well. The only one I can think of is really Marvel, because their brand is already massive. So it's like, oh, I watched this show, but like The Walking Dead, I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure. It almost feels like milking it, honestly. So
yeah, I think this, and again, I don't know. The show might be amazing, but like if Walking Dead had ended after 5 seasons and then they did this, like I think it would have been amazing.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's obviously one of the biggest shows probably of all time. The fact that they can even greenlight and afford to do all these million spinoffs. So, I mean, I guess the audience is there.
I think one of the problems is kind of like what happened with Resident Evil, and that Resident Evil was this very like the first game was scary, and the games have like over time. Actually, I haven't played it recently, so I don't even know how the most recent. Actually, Resident Evil 7, which we also didn't play.
Is that the newest one?
That's like 2 ago, where you're like the first person point of view. It was kind of like a return to horror.
Yeah.
And kind of like the localized feel, because the games had become so like magnanimous, I guess, in terms of story. That's kind of how The Walking Dead feels for me right now, is like, you know, oh, Maggie and Negan are here because of a plot in Chicago that I'm just making up things, by the way. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you kind of lose like the thing that felt really good in seasons 1 and 2, like being on Herschel's farm, you know, and it was just so much smaller. I don't know.
No, yeah, I'm with you. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if any of y'all are planning on watching this, or if any of y'all are like diehard Walking Dead fans that kept with it till the end. Like, if so, let us know what if you think this is going to be good.
I will say one of their biggest pain points is I really do think they have truly great actors in their show.
Yeah.
And so I understand them being like, we have this talent. Like, what do we do with it? Like Andrew Lincoln, Rick Grimes, I feel like is
He's
universally
phenomenal.
loved. Yeah. And rightfully so. Jeffrey Dean Morgan playing Negan. I mentioned Norman Reedus. Like they have some and then the person who plays Maggie, I don't know her name. Let's see, The Walking Dead. Lauren Cohen. So like you have these people who are amazing actors. So like I get them being like, where do we utilize them?
Yeah.
But and then Michonne, obviously. I mean, she's in Marvel as well. I can't think of her name.
Denai Guerrera or something like that, I think.
Yeah. I don't know how to spell Michonne. You get it. It doesn't matter. But so yeah, I don't know. I guess let us know. So well, I have another
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say I have another topic that I wanted to ask you about.
Yeah, well, let me slide this in real quick. It's not about Walking Dead, but you kind of segued nicely with your gratuitous violence comment. I feel the same way. But if it's good,
gratuitous violence.
I'm there for it. And speaking of, Invincible season 2 freaking finally is about to come out. And I think you watched season 1, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that definitely has some violence in it, but I am definitely going to be watching that, and I'm excited for it. It's been like 3 years since season 1.
Yeah. Did you see the trailer for season 2?
I did. I have not seen. They like surprise dropped like a little prequel. I don't know if prequel's the right word, but it's like, I don't think it's episode 1 of season 2, but they surprise dropped an episode that's all about the character Adam Eve. I have not watched that yet.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, it looks like the release date is November 3rd, 2023. I don't know why I added the 2023. Yeah, November 3rd, so a few months out. Yeah, that's a great show. But still for me, I'm kind of like the scene there's a scene where someone's being held as they like crash through a train and like
yeah,
I'm just like, oh my gosh, dude. Like anyway, it brings me back to The Boys, which by the way, the Boys spinoff got announced or got the trailer dropped for that. Gen 5. Have you seen that trailer?
Is it live action or animated?
Yeah. No, live action. Yeah. So that one got released, I think today. It looks good, but also extremely violent.
What's it about? Is it like a prequel or like a side story?
I don't know where it falls in the timeline because I didn't watch the latest season of The Boys. But it's essentially like, think Charles Xavier School for the Talented and Gifted.
Yeah.
It's like people showing up at this school that is like supposed to like harness and like whatever, but like the school is secretly evil is kind of the twist on it.
Okay.
And it follows a young woman who is like the new enrollee and kind of like her experience at the school, I guess. So looks good, but also very violent. So
yeah. And I don't know if this is fair because let me throw this out there that I like The Boys. I haven't seen season 3, partially for the reason we're talking about, where I was just like, I don't really know if I just want to watch like this ultra violent, like really dark and depressing show, essentially. And I think the difference to where I'm like, oh, I'm all in for Invincible season 2 is I feel like there's like a reason for the violence in Invincible, and there's like they show the other side of the coin. Like there is like the virtuous, like the people that are trying to do good in the world. And like, I don't know, like in The Boys, there are good guys, but like, I don't know, everyone kind of sucks in The Boys. Yeah. Like there's no one to really like root for and feel good about. So I don't know if that's kind of why I'm, I guess, being hyper what's the word I'm looking for? Hypocritical. I don't know if I'm being hypocritical, but if I am, maybe that's kind of where the distinction is for me.
Yeah. The reason I liked The Boys was just like, I just like any show that goes against the grain of like what everyone else is doing. Like Marvel was big for forever. And then it was like, okay, what if we took the Marvel concept, but they're all like corrupt and evil.
Yeah.
Like what, and also just the pure fact of like, you know, there's never any like collateral damage in Marvel movies to an extent, right? I know it was a big premise for Winter Soldier or Civil War, excuse me. But like, yeah, average everyday citizens getting like obliterated, like on the side. But yeah, no, and Invincible is also really good too because it just has a freaking all-star cast of like people that I individually really like.
Yes, and you saw the trailer, right?
Yeah.
How are there even that many characters?
Yeah.
All the names that were popping up, I was like, what is happening?
And one of the guys who's the big D&Der, but was also in oh my gosh, The Walking Dead. I can't think of his name, but he's in Invincible season 2. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Big D&Der.
He was a guest star on Critical Role.
This campaign?
No, a previous campaign. Hang on, I'm gonna figure it out for you. But Jillian Jacobs, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
J.K. Simmons. Who's the main character's name?
Stephen Yeun from Walking Dead.
Yes, and he was also in this amazing short as well. It was on YouTube. It was like a 15-minute short that was also really good. Okay, let's see here.
They got Peter Cullen this season, the voice of Optimus Prime, like one of the most iconic voice actors there is.
That's cool.
I'm trying to think of who you're talking about with the D&D guy. I'm sure I probably like noticed it because I watched the trailer.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Was it Joe Manganiello or whatever?
Carrie Payton.
Oh, Carrie Payton. Yeah. Okay.
Found it.
Also a legend. Also in Walking Dead.
Yeah.
All these
I think I said that, right? I said D&D and also
you
Walking
probably
Dead.
did. I was lost.
Yeah. So yeah, Carrie Payton. Yeah. There's Seth Rogen is in it.
Yeah. He plays I think Alan is his name. I've actually read some of the, it's not called manga because it's not Japanese, but the graphic novel. But only like the start of it. Which is also really good. Which I guess there's a lot of Walking Dead coverage here because they're both created by Robert Kirkman, Invincible and Walking Dead. So I wouldn't be surprised if we kept seeing more crossover.
Wow. But The Walking Dead is over, right? The graphic novel?
Yeah. And Invincible is as well.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure.
Tell you what, this guy hit the jackpot, right?
Yeah.
Both of his graphic novels becoming like major, like for Invincible to get picked up by Amazon and turn into like such a mega hit. Like this dude must be rolling in it.
Yeah, man. I feel like Amazon could be on the cusp. I mean, I guess we're beyond the cusp now, but like in adult animation with Invincible, Legend of Vox Machina, and I haven't seen it, but there is a boys animated show too. So I don't know if that's like done well or not, but I'm assuming that obviously is adult oriented as well. So,
and they got other live action shows, Ring of Power. I mean,
I feel like we really soured on Ring of Power. Like we kind of were like okay with it when we were watching it, and then but just ever since
it's because having seen The Last of Us, it was like okay, HBO really did this show extremely well.
Yeah,
and I think for Amazon, Rings of Power was is it Ring of Power or Rings of Power? Rings of Power,
because they make like the multiple ones, you know.
Yeah. I think in hindsight, it was just so average.
Yeah, it was.
And if they hadn't spent so much money, like that was the other thing was I was like, you guys spent so much. Wasn't it like the most money in history on a show?
I don't know if it like still is, but yeah, at the time it was the highest ever.
And can you think of a single episode where you were like, here's where the budget went? Like there are no insane battle scenes. I mean, I'm just trying to think about like how did Peter Jackson make such a visually epic movie, excuse me, and do it. I'm sure like I know at the time I'm sure it cost like bukus, but presumably a fraction of what this show cost,
right?
So I don't know. It kind of throws me a little bit.
This is like a whole nother conversation that we don't need to get into, but I think it does speak to like, there's a certain word here that would really articulate what I'm saying, but I don't know what that is. So I'm going to explain, but it's like limitations really enhance creativity. Like, if I wrote you a blank check to make a
Mhm.
movie and I said go, you're probably going to make a better movie with like, here's instead $10 million. And so you had to be like real, like you really
Mhm.
had to think about it and had to be real creative with how you spent that money because you had a limit. So I wonder if the fact that they did have so much money was almost like a hindrance rather than a benefit, you know?
I but also, like, they never brought in Peter Jackson, like, even, like, as a consultant on this show, and I just think, like, I don't know what Peter Jackson's doing these days, but I'm just thinking, like, The Lord of the Rings gets talked about. Like, my wife and I were just talking about this the other day because we quoted something from one of the movies, and we were driving, and I was like, "It's been, like, 20 years, and, like, people still talk about this trilogy as, like, peak cinema." Like, this guy did something right,
And
and
they
so you
still
have
hold up too.
Oh, they do,
Like,
yeah. They're all
obviously in terms of quality, but like in terms of like the visuals, like, and for being such a high fantasy
yeah,
movie, like you
yeah,
don't watch it and you're like, oh man, the effects were so bad.
yeah.
No, like
Well,
still completely holds up.
I remember why we talked about it. We were at church on Sunday, and the pastor in his sermon talked about oh my gosh, I almost said Bilbo,
Frodo?
Frodo. And I was telling my wife, I was like, this is clearly still such a cultural phenomenon that someone is using it for a church thing. But here's my point though, is Rings of Power comes out. Why would you not bring in the guy? Like it's the most expensive show ever made, and you're not
Yeah.
going to bring in the guy who,
Well, maybe they tried. I don't know. Maybe they didn't, but
I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
nah.
It beats me. So, all right,
But yeah,
whatever.
hopefully season two's better. Like we're still gonna watch season two. Maybe there were all that being. I don't know why I'm like being copium with Rings of Power right now. I agree with everything you just said, and it was mediocre. But there were high notes. There were high notes,
Yes.
and
Yes.
I'm hoping season two is better. All right, sorry.
Yes.
Also,
There were.
you wanted to say something like 20 minutes ago before I said my small invincible thing. Do you remember what
Oh.
that was?
Oh, I just wanted to change subjects was all.
Okay.
So I wanted to talk also about underperforming mediocre things. I wanted to talk about Diablo 4.
I was gonna say my Jujutsu Kaisen videos.
No. Did you end up deleting those, or are they still on there?
Well, what's sad is I didn't delete them. And for anyone being like, why would you delete them? Is I was thinking about making a new channel called like the Pixelist Anime or something and putting them on there, just to see because if we're like I don't want to get into the weeds on YouTube stuff for you guys because you probably don't care, but you have like a niche on YouTube. Ours is nerdy D&D stuff. So I like have not been able to find my target audience with those Jujutsu Kaisen videos, and they take me a very long time. So I was considering like, what if I deleted them, made a brand new channel, and tried them there. I didn't do that, but I woke up today and I had an email that my episode 1 breakdown got taken down for copyright. So that was just like the 15th gut punch in a row of gut punches with these videos. So like, I don't know, man. I don't even know if I should keep doing them.
Oh my gosh. So here's what I'll say is your Jujutsu Kaisen breakdowns are very good. Will is the master of breakdowns. I think what really like kicked off our channel was the Legends of Vox Machina breakdowns that were really good. So you're great at breakdowns. I've never seen this anime, and I thought the breakdowns were awesome. It is interesting though, because it does feel like, and people on YouTube talk about this, like how you get pigeonholed into a niche, like you have to like embrace the niche, which is really difficult if you want to do other stuff. It makes it very challenging. I know, and we've even seen like content people who are mega large who've quit YouTube. I think PewDiePie had like a similar conversation recently with his kid being born. Was like, yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm finally free of like the YouTube grind. And there's another guy, I can't think of his name, but he has a ton of like 10 million followers, and he does a weekly update video. And he was like, I'm finally quitting. Like I'm done. I want to be free of this. Point being though, is there is like a rule set to using YouTube. And I think it's interesting because, my man Will here spends like 20, 30 hours on a piece of content.
More
And
like
then,
60.
yeah, I mean, a lot. And then it's like, well, maybe if we were like a full anime channel, it would do really, really well. But because we talk about like a lot of different things, I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, like we're not trying to game the algorithm. Like we're just sharing stuff that's fun for us, even if it's not very smart YouTube wise. But it is a bummer when you put in that much work and you want to share it with people. And I think, like you had pointed out, you can, for you guys that don't do YouTube, you can look and see like where your content's getting promoted and like who it's getting shown to and who's like clicking on it and like the other kinds of videos that those people watch. And from what I understand, the Jujutsu Kaisen videos are getting shown to people who don't even really watch anime.
Yeah.
It's like they're not going to be interested in the video anyway. And so that can just be very discouraging when you spend so much time on content.
Yeah, for sure. So I didn't mean to sideswipe your entire conversation there, but yeah, I forgot I hadn't told you that yet. So yeah, I sat down to start on episode 3. And then I saw that and I was like, man, should I, like, it's hard to waste that much time. So yeah, I've been sitting here wondering today if I should keep doing it or not.
I'd say, with everyone else listening, I guess they may disagree. They'd be like, you're an idiot. I think it's, it's obviously one of two things. You do it or you don't. Duh. But, we've had some content in the past where it's taken a lot of time, where it's been like, you know what, this isn't really worth the time anymore. We're not going to do it. Yeah. But then on the flip side, like our original, like Pixelists Podcast, like content, was getting like 10 views or whatever. And, it's like a decent channel now. I don't think it's like mega successful, but it's a decent channel because we just were like, we really like this and we want to do it even if no one's watching it. So I'd say for you, if you're like, yeah, even if no one watches this is really fun, I'm going to do this, then keep doing it. But otherwise, yeah, maybe that's 60 hours. Maybe you take a nap or something in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Divert it elsewhere. I don't know.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's something I'm definitely be thinking about over the near future. But what were you originally diving into there before I sidetracked us? I think it was Diablo.
Yeah. Disappointing, mediocre IPs. I got to talk about Diablo because when Diablo was coming out, I had kind of told myself, I'm going to make this my game. Which I don't know if you guys are gamers, if you guys play games, but like I feel like for me, like I have games that are like the game I keep coming back to, like which World of Warcraft has been that for me for like literally years.
Yeah.
For Will, I know you really have enjoyed Hearthstone. Like we have these games we play, and even if we like depart from them for a season, we seem to come back to them.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of thinking like Diablo 2 was my original game. Like this is the perfect time to commit to a new game. And I'm kind of just sad, man, because Diablo 4 season 1, just being so before, I feel like whenever we talk about Blizzard, there's people who come on our channel who are like, you guys are idiots and just don't play it. Like, let me just say this. I adore, I've had amazing Blizzard experiences growing up. But I'm just going to objectively say it. I think Diablo 4 is in a really bad place. I think season 1 is objectively bad. I think the developers are creatively blank on like what they want to do with the game. And I'm genuinely disappointed with where it seems like the game's going. So all very big things for me to say, but I was like, when you and we've been talking a while about like, should we do like a weekly talk show or something? I just kept thinking like, I got to talk about Diablo at some point today.
Yeah.
But have you played the new season at all, or?
I haven't, just because I haven't had a desire to. I'm the only like I would play if like we were all gonna play together like we did when it first came out. Like that excites me. But just to like sit there and play by myself and start a new character, like I just don't have a desire to, especially with like that patch that came out. And I'm not like writing off the game altogether. Because it seems like kind of like with Diablo 3, like maybe eventually we'll get to a really good spot, but
right.
I don't know. I just have no like excitement to play it right now.
It's kind of boring. Like I had the whole weekend to play. Like I told my wife that season 1 was coming out. And so it was Friday night. She was like, hey, aren't you going to play Diablo? And I was like, no, I don't think I really like. My wife's giving me a pass to like, you go play Diablo, right? I'm just like, I really don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say the season's very boring. And I feel like seasonal models, like PoE does this really well. Seasonal models lend itself to risk taking and like breaking the game, so to speak, for the sake of fun, just to see what happens.
Right.
And I'd say that ingredient is really missing. It almost feels like, well, we have to do seasons because the seasonal model is really great for
like making money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So,
which I don't even, so I know Malignant Hearts, which are, they're essentially like a gym, right?
yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Like what it, like with Path of Exile, there's always like a whole new exciting thing to like go explore and play. But for me, I was like, okay, well, this is just another item that I'm gonna have to min max with. That's gonna take up space in my stash tab. But then it's the exact same game. Like there's nothing to look forward to be like, oh, I can't wait to like run into some Parandis and like or like check out the labyrinth. There was nothing like new.
Yeah.
So I had no desire to. I was like, why would I just replay this? And I know with a new season would mean a new character, but I'm not gonna lie, it definitely also was compounded by the fact that my class, which was already the worst, got made worse.
Yeah.
So
we'll play Sorcerer, which I did a video on like all the classes ranked, and Sorcerer is like there's Rogue at the top, that's like God mode, which it's so funny because everyone got, if you haven't been following Diablo, they released a patch right before the season that basically nerfed everything. And it was so badly received that they did a dev live stream this past Friday where they said it was awful and we're never going to do this again because it was so badly received.
It's like, why did you do it then?
Yeah, it was so stupid. But anyway, so like Rogue's at the top after these nerfs, then Druid and Necro, and then there's a massive gap, and then there's Barb, and then an even massive gap below that. Like we're talking like exponential differences between Rogue and Sorcerer. Sorcerer is awful, like really in a bad play. I'm probably over explaining or over because there's people playing at max level as a sorcerer, but I just think compared to a rogue,
yeah,
it's night and day gameplay differences. Which, by the way, I noticed one of the top streamers was like, "What, the patch is fine. He only plays rogue. That's his class."
Is it Budijo or whatever?
Yeah. Yes. And then our friend also only plays rogue. And he was like, I thought the nerfs seemed fine. And I think Will was like, oh, that's funny coming from a rogue player.
Yeah.
So I know as a person who played Barb, I was like, wow, I have no interest playing this class. Like they gutted the class entirely. So
yeah.
Definitely didn't help.
And I know this is like a conversation we've had before. And it's not even like this is an obvious thing to say, but just Blizzard isn't the Blizzard we grew up with, And right. I think like, I don't know, like with the release of Diablo, which was the first Blizzard game you and I like really fell in love with, like there's just all these reasons to get really excited about it. But I think it just, we keep getting shown that this is not the same Blizzard that we grew up with. So I don't know, like I'm not, hopefully they can still get D4 to like a great place. But I think just,
Mm-hmm. I think they will. From what I've seen from the dev streams, like I think they're very willing to learn and improve the game. It's just a shame that we have to go through like so many iterations. And honestly, like a little bit of rose-colored glasses, like PoE wasn't fully different in that PoE also had some really bad leagues and some real big pain points early on. But I will say PoE felt a lot more compelling from a gameplay loop perspective. Like I remember getting on PoE and creating a Marauder, which is, for you guys who haven't played it, it's kind of like the Barbarian of PoE, and realizing that I could do a bow build, like doing lightning arrow on my Marauder. Like that was so, it's like you create your class to whatever you want it to be. And frankly, a lot of like the updates to the game have always gotten me extremely excited, where I've been like, whoa, we're going to be able to do what? Like the latest update on the passive skill tree, which again, not to like get too in the weeds here, but PoE gets memed about their massive skill tree, which is just insanely large. Well, the latest update is portal nodes on the skill tree, where when you allocate that node, you can now start allocating on the opposite end of the tree, opposite side.
Oh,
Which
cool.
again, I'm like, that is so cool. Like,
Yeah.
that's really interesting. I want to try that out. Nothing like that happened with season 1 for Diablo. Like you said, the Malignant Hearts, it was like, all right, more stuff for me to carry. And then also having played, I'm like level 30 in the season, and I'm not any higher because I've just been kind of bored. But like the hearts that I've slotted in, I honestly haven't even noticed them or thought much about them. So
yeah. It just feels like they do the bare minimum because they know they can, you know? Like there's no incentive for them to like really push boundaries and like do cool stuff because they're going to make the money anyway. So like, and I feel like that's again is just like a cultural, Blizzard's not the same anymore. I think a good comparison will be Path of Exile 2. Because I know you were comparing it to like when Poe first started and maybe like, you know, they had some lackluster leagues, but I don't think it's a fair comparison in that respect because Poe was like, what, how many, it was like indie when it first started, right? Like,
oh yeah,
just like some random folks. This is
yeah.
Blizzard, who has all the, like, they have all of D3 to like pull from, both like in terms of code and from like ideas and stuff. And like, they still just, bleh.
Well, and I'll say a lot of what saved Diablo 3 was ripped from PoE. Like,
yeah.
For you guys who didn't play PoE, the rifting system in Diablo 3, that is from Path of Exile. Path of Exile came up with that first with their map system. And so also like, you know, this maybe is unfair, but like PoE is like their skills change as you slot in different gems. And now in Diablo 4, it's like, yeah, as you put more skill points, it changes how the skill looks, which is oddly enough missing. It feels like I've never really noticed it. But I will say that Diablo, Blizzard in general, seems like they're very good at just picking up innovation in other games and putting it in their own. Whereas, you know, Grinding Gear Games, it feels like they do have more intuitive things that they're doing.
Yeah. So
by the way, ExileCon is this weekend. So
yeah, it'd be more released, right?
Yeah,
more announced.
2 full days of PoE 2. And they have massive gameplay blocks. Like I think there's like a 2 or 3 hour gameplay block that they're going to be doing with like people commenting, which is awesome.
Do you think they're going to be like an announcement for the release date?
I think so. Yeah.
I wonder like what, like, could it be this year, or do you think it's like we're still like a couple years away? Or
I don't think we're a couple years away. I think we're probably a year away, like would be my guess.
2024 sometime.
Yeah, I would say summer 2024 would be my guess. I think they might even do a beta. If you remember, they did a beta for their 10-act release.
Yeah,
that was really cool. So they could do a beta, but I would expect about a year from now, at the most. I'd be shocked if it was any sooner, but it could be cool. I mean, I think they probably, if I'm them, I'm noticing the momentum of people disappointed with Diablo. Like, what a perfect marketing time to be like, here you go.
Yeah, they're like, it's out this weekend.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, anything else on?
Nope.
On that can of worms. One thing I also wanted to touch on is, did you see the trailer for the chapter 2 of Candela?
No, I didn't. I know you texted me that Lou Wilson and Brennan Lee Mulligan are in it.
Oh, did I say Lou?
Yeah, was it not?
Yeah, I didn't mean to say Lou. I meant to say Luis.
Oh, you might have said Louise. Maybe I misread. I think I always think of, in fact, after you texted it, I thought, man, Brennan and Lou are like a tandem. Like they're always together.
Hatched at the hip.
Oh, that's really cool. No, I didn't see that.
Yeah. Let me see if I can pull this up.
Did they finish the first chapter?
So the first chapter ends this Thursday. This will be the third and last episode with that first group.
5-hour premiere.
What are you reading for chapter 2?
Yeah.
Oh dang, I didn't see that. But so yeah, it's Brennan, Luis, Travis, Marisha, and I cannot find it.
Zara?
Yeah, so one other, a new woman that I was not familiar with, and then there's a new DM as well that I was not familiar with.
Who's the DM?
It's somebody new.
Okay.
I think their name, Why can I not find this? Here we go. Oh yeah, and they're gonna do it in theaters like they've done with some of their other, like the Mighty Nine reunion and some of their other stuff that they've done.
Spencer Stark.
There we go. Yeah, thank you.
What a DM name,
right? So yeah, I'm not familiar with Spencer or Zera. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But yeah, excited to check that out.
Yeah, interesting.
Chapter 1 is, I mean, obviously the third and final episode has not aired yet. But it's been pretty fun, Candela Obscura. So Marisha tweeted something about, and I'm paraphrasing, that chapter 2, the one she's in, is going to be like some stuff they've never done on the channel before. So it's a bold claim. So I'm interested to see kind of what that means, what that looks like. If it's like way, does that mean it's like way more horror? Is it way darker? You know, like because we've seen the Illuminated Worlds, which is the system it uses. So like, and it's still Candela Obscura. So like, I'm trying to parse like what is brand new to the channel, and I feel like it must be like the content of the story. So
does it still have Taliesin as like the lighthouse keeper?
I think so. They didn't really comment on that, I don't think, but I would imagine so. I imagine that's always going to be like his role. And thus far, which could change with episode 3 that hasn't aired yet, but he hasn't like actually appeared in stream like during the episode. He kind of is like a meta narrator almost.
Okay.
But yeah, so that was a pretty fun announcement, and they just had their Comic-Con. Comic-Con was San Diego Comic-Con was this past weekend, and Critical Role had a couple panels there, which I wasn't there, obviously. They haven't uploaded it to YouTube yet, but I'm hoping they will, because I'm really excited to see like what they talked about there. Robbie Damon was the MC, the person that like ran the event for them. So I bet that was fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool stuff. So for the rest of the channel, for you guys listening, we do have our latest episode of Critical Role. I haven't watched it yet. Have you seen it?
It was a 5-hour one. So I watched like the first 4 live, and I haven't gone back to finish the last hour yet.
So I'll make a little dent in it today. And then we need have you watched Worlds Beyond yet?
Not yet. Have you?
About half of it I've seen or listened to. So, okay. So we'll have some more D&D content coming up. Anything else?
No, not really. I guess just, I don't know like I don't know like what to expect from this, like I don't know if anybody's made it this far, but if you have and you kind of liked this more off the cuff kind of random amalgamation discussion, please let us know. I mean, as of right now, I think we plan on doing this even if it even if nobody watches it, but like if nobody watches it ever, maybe we'll stop. But yeah, especially if you liked it, let us know. I have a feeling maybe this might do better on our podcast, which I'm sure you guys know. We call it the Pixelists Podcast, but we are in fact on podcast platforms. So shout out to all our listeners over there. But yeah, I forgot my train of thought, but I guess let us know if you liked this, and maybe we don't have plans to do it like a set time, but we were thinking roughly weekly. I feel like there's like one thing I feel like I'm trying to make my way to saying, but I'd lost it. So
I do not know, my friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alrighty. I guess that does it, fam.
I guess that does it.
See you later.
Bye, y'all.